All right, guys, welcome to another edition of Win the Day Planner Content Library. Today, we are blessed to have Alyssa Hermann. Alyssa is a former RN and now turned mindset professional. She works with athletes transitioning after their career is done. So, Alyssa, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Alyssa, one of the things that really interested me about you was this idea of um, transitioning after athletics. You have a background in athletics. Talk to us a little bit about your story and your history and why you're so passionate about this.
Yeah. So first of all, I played soccer and I started playing when I was 5 years old. I don't think I ever stopped. And it became everything to me, right? It was what I did on the weekends, traveling with my team. It was having sleepovers with my teammates. It was training after school, on the school team, on the travel team, playing in college. It was everything, right? As it is, I think, for most athletes. And then the way I introduced myself my whole life was, "Hi, my name's Alyssa. I'm a soccer player." And then the reason I'm so passionate about what I do now, which is working with the athletes transitioning out, is because when I transitioned, all of a sudden my introduction, instead of saying, "Hi, my name's Alyssa and I'm a soccer player," it was, "Hi, my name's Alyssa and I'm a nurse." So I never really took the time to figure out what else was out there for me. I just dove right into the next thing I did without really knowing myself. So that is how I ended up in this space. Post college, working in the ICU, my body was changing. My friends were gone. My team was like right next door. I worked at the hospital right next to my school, so I could see the team that I had just left training, and yeah, just the identity crisis there was it was big time for me, and I didn't have any sort of support or someone to tell me like, "Hey, this is normal. This is part of the process. Like, there's more out there for you." And so that is sort of how I ended up where I am now in the shortest version possible.
Yeah, that's huge. And in the space that we are in right now, I'm really happy that we're bringing awareness to this idea that athletes need help and need some guidance and some structure for when they leave. And this is some things that you might encounter post athletic career, whether it be post high school or post collegiate or post professional. What
Mhm.
are some things that the clients that you deal with are kind of going through post performance and playing careers?
One thing that I see often is burnout, right? So when you're in your sport, you're taught, when I work hard, I get the result I want. When I work hard and get the result that I want, I feel good and other people tell me I did a good job. We forget that when we leave sports, there's other ways to be successful besides working really hard. And when you don't have the healthy environment of sports to maintain the, yes, I work hard, but that's not the only thing. I have friends, I have my values, I have the structure, I have the passion. We sort of lose that part and then transition into career. And so I find that many of my clients just dove into the next thing, sort of like myself too, where I gave my everything to nursing and I burnt myself out. So a lot of clients come to me post sports tired, often successful as athletes. We know what it means to put in the work and get the result we want, but we're tired, we're burnt out, we're lonely, and I would say that is the biggest one. For many other former athletes too, there's this relationship with exercise that is difficult. So for some of us, when we leave sports, we are ready to continue playing, but maybe we weren't able to play and make it like our sole income. So we go find rec sports or we go semi-pro. I played semi-pro after college for a little bit. Um, but it doesn't, but then on the other side, there are people that are like, "Screw this. I never want to touch a ball again. I never want to jump in the pool. I'm done. I'm burnt out here." But then we still have this drive to maintain exercise, but our relationship with exercise changes. So then there's this, "Oh, I can't perform the same way I used to." And all of a sudden, the idea of even going to the gym feels really big and scary. And so for many former athletes, it's, how do I maintain what role do I want fitness to be in my life after sports? And for many of us, we can get a little bit out of touch with what it is we want versus what it used to be.
I love that, and I think just in the coaching background, I've seen a lot of athletes go with that. I want to keep this going if it's okay. The same pace.
Hmm.
I want to ask a question. Sometimes athletes' mindsets can kind of get a little toxic in their life after sport. What are some of those mindsets that carry over that were maybe positive early on and then become toxic when they're not competing anymore?
Oh, the first one that comes to mind, and I'm sure you've heard it, is if you're not first, you're last. There's no first. There's no race anymore. There's nothing to win when you leave sports, but this need to be the best at what we do, it's part of who we are, for better or for worse. And so I find many people, no matter what they do, they want to improve, they want to push, they want to be better, and that's great. But then it's a matter of considering, well, what is the cost? And what is your definition of being the best? What is your definition of not being first? And for many of us, there it isn't actually something tangible. It's just something, a perspective that's ingrained in our mind that no matter what I do, it has to be first, but there is no first, and you end up in this like cycle of trying to constantly be better and not being happy with who you are and what you have.
I love that one. And there's another question that kind of was brought to my head when I was thinking about this. We know that these things are real. We know that these things exist. And I'd like to get a few tips from you about how an athlete can kind of get over not being an athlete anymore. But you mentioned something earlier about the community that you were part of being right next door. How is it that an athlete can move from that community to a new community? What are some tangible ideas to move to a new community?
Yeah. I think two things have to happen at the same time, right? Multiple things can be true at once. One, you lost your community, and this is really difficult and it's painful and hard, and nothing can replace, like totally, tit for tat replace what you had, and give yourself permission to grieve that and feel the emotion that comes with change, feel the emotion that comes with losing your closest friends, being, my teammates used to just pull up on me, like, get in the car, like, we're going to practice. I'm like, I'm not in the mood. I'm like, we don't care. Like, oh shoot, okay. You sort of lose that camaraderie. It happens. It's part of this. And it's 100% possible to think about, well, what part of that community felt so pure? Was it that it was an environment that brought forward a growth mindset? Was it that you were all working for the common goal? Was it the competition? Like, you're literally giving blood, sweat, and tears alongside other people. Where in your life can you replicate those aspects of the community you enjoyed in a way that is sustainable and healthy in your adult life? For me, that is going to group fitness classes or joining a women's group, and also being willing to stay in contact with my friends long distance. Sometimes a phone call can do a lot more than we realize.
Yeah, those are great tips. I want to get a few more tips on before we end here. Just for those athletes out there, how can they get? I mean, it sounds really silly, but how do you get over not being an athlete anymore? What are some tangible ideas that these young adults can take and say, I'm not an athlete anymore. What now? What can I do?
Yeah. The most important piece of this is understanding that your athlete identity is only a part of who you are, and it's not the whole picture. So once you can embrace that perspective, yes, I am an athlete. The values are ingrained in me. They will always be ingrained in me. The memories I have will always be there. And those aren't the only things. It's possible to have life that is just as fulfilling, if not more, post athletics. I would say that's the biggest piece. It's easier said than done, of course, because there's this level of ego. It's like, well, once I let go of my athlete identity, like, that's where I was successful. That's where I was confident. That's where I could win. Um, it's not the identity itself that brought you those things. It was your values and your ability to perform in that space. You still have that ability. You still have those values, and you can go and use them anywhere in your life.
I love that. Alyssa, Thank you for being a champion for those athletes transitioning to life after athletics. I think this is such an important topic. We really enjoyed having you on today. Athletes, check out more of our videos on the Win the Day content library and check out Alyssa Hermann on social media for more tips about transitioning after athletics. Thank you, Alyssa.
Thanks.